Welcome back to Laura Cocho here on SiriusXM Urban View, Channel 126. Well, I am joined by, pardon my language, a badass woman. It's Women Chris Wednesday as well. And I'm joined by Dr. Velma Scantlebury, who is the very first African-American woman transplant surgeon in the United States. She has received many honors in her career, having been named to both the Best Doctors in America and Top Doctors in America's lists multiple times. She's been awarded the Woman of Spirit Award for inspiring others and the Gift of Life Award from the National Kidney Foundation. She has performed over 2,000 transplants and published many peer-reviewed papers. Her story is quite unique, and in her book called Beyond Every Wall, Becoming the First Black Female Transplant Surgeon, she recounts her journey from a childhood on the former British colony of Barbados to the United States through her academic and professional life and the many challenges and triumphs along the way. She talks about her career in a male-dominated field while also dealing with her personal struggles with depression, marriage, as well as motherhood. It's a truly inspirational story. She's a role model and a mentor to so many, and she really highlights the possibilities for young women to achieve their dreams and aspirations, no matter how difficult the journey. Dr. Scantlebury is currently the Associate Director of the Kidney Transplant Program for the Christiana Care Health System in Newark, Delaware, and she joins us now. Hi, Dr. Velma Scantlebury. How are you?
I am fine. Thank you so much, Mrs. Coates, for inviting me to your show. This has been a wonderful opportunity for me.
Oh, please call me Laura, but thank you. I feel like I can't be called Mrs. Coates, Dr. V, because, look, you are too impressive. I appreciate you saying it, though. I'm glad you are a part of this show. You know, this is a really exceptional book. Your story is really, really so thought-provoking and inspirational. You tell it in Beyond Every Wall. What inspired you to write the book? Why did you think your story should be told, as it should be?
Well, I started this journey probably over 12 years ago, and I thought it was important to let others know that life, as we journey through life, there are always going to be obstacles, and there are also going to be triumphs. But you can't let negativity surround you to the degree where you do not fulfill your dreams. And it becomes important for others to know that we all struggle. You know, I don't live in a bubble, and my life has been with ups and downs. Yes, I am the first African-American female transplant surgeon, and it was not easy, but I overcame those obstacles or those barriers or those walls that I relate to in the book. And so as I go around giving lectures in various places, I realized that my story needed to be heard, and others were so appreciative of me telling my story that I thought, what better way to write it down, and for others, more than who I can speak to, many can read. So that was my quest.
So what are some of the challenges you have faced? I mean, the idea of, I'm always talking about in the show that in 2019, it's always surprising that we still are experiencing and getting to know people who are the first, the so-called first of something. And it kind of makes you raise your eyebrows, say, wow, how can we still be having first? Tell me about what the challenges you face, and why do you think it took so long for there to be the very first African-American woman transplant surgeon in the U.S.?
Well, actually, I became the first over 30 years ago, and my quest in writing this book was to let other people know, and part of my goal before retiring was to make sure there were 10 other black female transplant surgeons in this country. And so for me it was important to be a role model, to be a mentor, and to bring others up behind me so that now 30 years later I can say that there are so many more out there. So for me that was an important quest. And yes, my journey was not easy, and there are obstacles that those in this present day, 2019, are still facing in terms of the biases or the negativity that I encountered. And so it's important for them to understand that they're not alone, and that others have crossed this path and have gone there before and have come out winners.
I'm talking to Dr. Velma Scantlebury, who writes in her powerful new book, Beyond Every Wall, Becoming the First Black Female Transplant Surgeon, where she talks about her really inspirational life and about the challenges and triumphs along the path. that she's taken in her career and her personal life. Tell us a little bit about your background, Dr. Velma Scantlebury. Tell me about what drew you to even pursuing medicine as a career. You're from Barbados, is that correct?
That is correct. And I wanted to be a doctor initially because, one, I wanted to help other people, and two, I wanted a career where I could be my own boss. That was important for me, to make my own decisions and to be able to be in charge. And I felt, what better way of doing that than being a doctor, because as a young child I saw my pediatrician who came. We went to see him and he had his own practice, and I just thought, what a wonderful thing to do. And so that was my goal in terms of being a physician. My desire to be a surgeon was sparked when after I moved to Brooklyn and went through medical school and saw and met my first female surgeon, who was a pediatric surgeon, and I wanted to be just like her. And so, yes, there were challenges along the way until I got to that point, as in high school, where I was told that I should consider night school and get a full-time job because I was not capable of completing college. And so that was her bias, her negative perception of me, and I was determined I was not going to let that shape my future.
In fact, it became a fuel for you, I'm sure, to have somebody doubt you. I'm sure it was very motivating to be able to prove them wrong and also prove to yourself what you knew was always possible, right?
Correct. One of my mother always said I was a very determined child, and I think I inherited her determination. And so with my parents' support and my family's support, I was able to push forward and apply to 2 colleges, receive a full 4-year scholarship, and went on to college and graduated summa cum laude. So I proved that I was capable and I had what it took to get through college and apply to medical school.
Well, I hope you sent that summa cum laude back because you said, I don't think night school is for me. I hope you were like, FYI, I mean, no shade on night school. It's every different path is unique for every person. But I hope you were like, hey, just wanted to visit for a second. How do you like them apples? Hope you had that moment of joy. That's what I would. I'm a little bit more petty than you, though. I would have done that. I would have gone back there. I probably would have mailed her a copy and framed it for her. But tell me, when you think about you have a particular niche, and you are a transplant surgeon in particular. What makes you have that decision, and what's it like to do the path from becoming, not only knowing you want to go to medical school, but to becoming a doctor, to becoming a surgeon, to becoming a transplant surgeon? How long did that take, and why was that the focus, particularly with kidneys?
Well, it was, medical school followed by residency, and I'm a general surgeon by trade. I finished 5 years of general surgery at Harlem Hospital Center in New York City, and then went on to specialize in a fellowship in multi-organ transplantation fellowship at University of Pittsburgh. And actually, that training was really to get me better qualified to be a pediatric surgeon, because that was my initial desire and my interest. And so I was able to couple pediatric surgery with transplantation surgery during those 2 years of my fellowship. And initially with my focus on multi-organ transplantation, doing liver transplants and pancreas transplants as well as kidney transplants, eventually focused on kidney transplantation. One, because there were many more African Americans with the disparities in transplantation in terms of those awaiting kidney transplantation, the issue of access to transplantation for minorities and people of color was a big struggle in terms of getting consent for organ donations, and also
why is that?
Why is that? One, as African Americans, we're more likely to suffer end-stage renal disease from high blood pressure, 4 to 5 times more likely than Caucasians. Diabetes is also the leading cause of kidney failure and for patients on dialysis. And so those 2 diagnoses are very prominent within the African American community. So when you walk into any dialysis unit, you're going to find, at least in inner cities, that there's a disproportionate number of African Americans on dialysis in need of transplantation or just with end-stage kidney disease. So it's a struggle we face in terms of being able to diagnose early, treat early, and prevent and do preventative measures, but unfortunately, these diseases are silent. There's really not a lot of symptoms, and you have to be diligent about taking your medication. And it's hard for someone to take pills when you feel fine, quote unquote. And so that becomes an issue.
You know, it's fascinating. I mean, first of all, to think about just the way that all the ideas of healthcare in America and the disproportionality towards African Americans in this country, and your focus and your story. You talk about all these things and more in your book, Beyond Every Wall, Becoming the First Black Female Transplant Surgeon. Dr. Velma Scantlebury, tell me, you also weave into your stories about your own personal struggles with depression and marriage and motherhood. Tell me about why it was so important for you to make sure that people understood the holistic person, not just the resume.
It is important because sometimes as women we try to take on so much, and we try to be super women, and we try to do it all. And with your personal life, oftentimes you have the issue at work of not either fitting in or not feeling like you're doing your best job, and also you get the negativity that can come from others. And so I found myself struggling to be a new mother, to fit into a situation, a male-dominated field, especially transplantation surgery, and to just be my best. And I think at some point when you lose that, when you're constantly bombarded by negativity, you lose your self-esteem. And I found myself slowly losing my self-esteem. There were things that I tried to do, such as a mantra, yes, I can, that would I remind myself every day that I could do this, and I, with the help of God, but I still hit rock bottom, and that led to my depression. And I think it's important because we don't want to talk about mental illness. It's taboo. But by talking about it, it makes it real, and it makes others understand that I'm just a regular person. I have my own struggles and my issues, and yes, I was depressed. Yes, I needed medication, but it helped me get to a point where I could be myself again, and I could then be more confident. I could then be capable of not being offended by the negativity or those patients who rejected me and all wanted me to empty the garbage because they thought I was there to clean up after them. And so it gives you a different outlook on life. And so I needed that in order to get to the place where I could be more effective on my job. And that's something that we need to talk about because women face that, young people face that, teenagers, and even my teenage kid at some point would say, oh, I'm so stressed, I'm getting depressed. But it's about really allowing it to be okay to talk about it.
Well, I'm so glad that you have raised this issue and that you have been so open and forthcoming about your own personal experiences, because as a mother, as a woman, as a wife, as a career person, I can certainly relate to what you're talking about, and so many of us can, and you feel like, the idea of you have to juggle without complaint, and that is by virtue of who you are, and there's some sort of weakness in showing that, look, you have to set boundaries and that it can impact how you feel about yourself and your confidence. And here you are, a transplant surgeon, the first African-American transplant surgeon in the United States of America, and you are experiencing what so many of us do. And so I really appreciate you for being so open and also applaud you for being unapologetic about your personal journey and how it has helped you to be your best self. This is an incredible book. It's called Beyond Every Wall, Becoming the First Black Female Transplant Surgeon. It's written by my Wednesday women crush, Dr. Velma Scantlebury. You can look more about the book at beyondeverywall.com. And I look forward to talking to you again soon. And good luck to you, and thank you for being a part of the show. What an incredible journey, and thank you for sharing.
Thank you so much for having me on the show. I appreciate it very much, and best of luck to you in the future.
Thank you. I hope we never meet because I don't want a kidney transplant. But if we did, I want you.
But we can meet socially. That'll be fine.
There you go. I'm always like, I do love doctors as friends, and I'm like, wait, are you going to judge my food? Shoot. Okay. Have a great one.
No, absolutely not. But maybe I'll be on Jeopardy someday when you're hosting it.
Well, That sounds like a great answer for me. Dr. Velma Scantlebury, thank you for joining the show. I really appreciate it. Her book is called Beyond Every Wall, Becoming the First Black Female Transplant Surgeon, and she talks about everything she talked about today in greater detail about her really inspirational life, and it talks really about highlighting the possibilities for young women and men, by the way, to achieve their dreams and inspirations no matter how difficult the journey. It truly shows the possibilities that are out there for you to make your dreams a reality. And then the book is called Beyond Every Wall. Look for it at beyondeverywall.com. I'll be right back. Thank you. That was really great. Nice to meet you. What a great book.
Thank you so much. I'm honored that you invited me to your show.
Of course. Really, I'm glad you were able to be a part of it, and good luck to you. And really, I truly mean it. Thank you for I was just talking about this morning with a girlfriend of mine who called this morning at like 6 a.m. to talk about feeling overwhelmed, and we were having this conversation. I was on the Amtrak train because I came back from here, and I was like, you know what? I've heard so many of my girlfriends and family members, middle of the night, early morning, middle of the day, and how it just catches up to you, and they're still balancing that with the careers they have and trying to be on top and feel good about their achievements. And I encourage people to write and talk about what they're doing. And when we read books like this, Dr. Velma, when we read things like this, we say, oh, my goodness, great, we're not alone. And we get some tools and tips of how to go forward. So thank you.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it. And I look forward to meeting you one day.
Yes, please, but socially. Have a good one.
Yep, absolutely.
Take care. Bye.
Thank you. Take care.
Mm-hmm.